Why hello, I didn't see you there. Good morning and welcome to our first premiere draft of Crimson Vow. Seth and I had a hell of a time looking at this set and trying to decide how to evaluate these cards. And if you have not listened to our Filthy Casuals review, I certainly recommend at least listening to Seth's epic rant about the quality of this set. But you know, there's a difference between how powerful a set looks in the abstract and how it actually plays out. Power level is all relative, so a set of all quote-unquote weak cards could actually be very fun to play, which is what I'm hoping for. So let's dive into a draft, shall we? We have, as our very first ever rare, a mythic rare actually, Savior of Allenbach. 1 white for a 1/2 with training. Whenever it trains, exile up to one other target creature card from the battlefield or from a graveyard, and when it leaves the battlefield, the exiled cards are put onto the battlefield under your control. Seems pretty frickin' awesome, I have to say. It's like a little baby Angel of Serenity. Let's do it. And what do we get to go along with it? Well, we get a Gutter Skulker, which is a good thing that can attack by itself. It's a 3/3, it's unblockable when it attacks alone, and it disturbs into an enchantment that makes enchanted creature unblockable as well when it attacks alone. We have Bride's Gown, an equipment that, I don't know, it's not very interesting. Heron of Hope is in our color. This isn't the most interesting pack, gotta be honest. But what has the most upside? I guess Gutter Skulker has the most upside. It definitely helps us get our Savior of Allenbach going. Next up, what do we have? In our colors, we have Supernatural Rescue. That looks like a weird combat trick. Unholy Efficient. We did not like that at all. Blood Hypnotist. 3-mana 3/3 can't block. Blood tokens. Which is kind of more stuff that's not very interesting. I think we'll take Repository Scob. It's another blue card. It's a 3/3 for 4 mana. We need to get some lower drops, but it can exploit to get you back an instant or sorcery. Now what do we get? Well, we get a Lantern Bearer, which is not bad. A little flyer. Distracting Geist. When it attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. That actually seems pretty nice. Do we just go for that? I think maybe so. So far we have a 3-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop, and a 4-drop. Need to get things mixed up a little bit here. I say that, but we get past a Screaming Swarm. A 6-mana 4/4 flyer. When it attacks, or when I attack with any number of creatures, I mill that many cards from their library. And it's a recurring threat. But we also have Cruel Witness, a 4-mana 3/3 flyer. Do we go with the uncommon? Or do we go with the cheaper card? I think cheaper card wins. My oh my. Siphon Essence, it's like a kind of expensive counterspell. Vampire Slayer, just a 2-mana 2/2 basically. Binding Geist, yet another 3-mana spell. Alright, our 3s and 4s are going to be all wrapped up after pack 1. Okay, we have Geistlight Snare, which is a counterspell. That's cheaper if we have spirits, which we have a couple of, and enchantments, which we have a few of as well, so I guess that's cool. Get past an Alchemist's Retrieval, just a bounce spell. Is that good enough? Or is Fear of Death what we want? Just a pseudo removal spell. We'll take the Alchemist's Retrieval and maybe not play it. So we've got a lot of 3 and 4 drops and not a lot of interaction so far. So in the next pack, we're looking to get some cheaper spells and get some ways to remove / slow down our opponent. Now what do we get? A Militia Rallier, can't attack alone. When it attacks, untap target creature. And Selhoff Entomber, a 2-mana 1/3 tap, discard a creature card, draw a card. I think we'll take the Entomber. It's tough. No, we'll take the 3-mana spell. Yet another 3-mana spell. I just don't like the Entomber. 2-mana 1/3. Those stats are trash, and tapping to discard a creature card is not appetizing. I agree with Marshall Sutcliffe on that one. It does not sound good. Now we get Cradle of Safety. You know, that is cheap. It is an aura, and it can save one of our creatures, so we will take that. Okay, now we're getting some garbage. Let's go ahead and keep cutting blue, even though we won't play these Serpentine Ambushes. Alright, well, we get past a Binding Geist, then we will play that card. And another Serpentine Ambush, so already a big front runner for least pick card. Now what do we get? Our rare is a land, a black-green land. No thanks. Geistlight Snare, another counter spell. Stitched Assistant can exploit a creature to scry 1, draw a card. And Lantern Bearer. You know, I think the Lantern Bearer looks best to me. Again, we need cheap spells. Now what do we get? Well, we get a couple options for Flying Trainers with Griffwing Cavalry and Griff Rider. We have another Selhoff Entomber. I mean, these don't look that interesting to me. Kind of like Griffwing Cavalry. We kind of just have a mono flying training deck. Okay, now what do we get past? The crappy new Audric. Thank you. Arm the Cathars. 1 white. Until end of turn, target creature gets +3/+3. Another gets +2/+2. Another gets +1/+1. And they all get Vigilance. I mean, that sounds pretty great with what we've got going on here. There's also Chill of the Grave. But that's another... All these 3-drops, like, we're just so jammed up at the 3-drop spot. So let's try to get a cheaper spell going here. Okay, we have a Syncopate. I kind of like that. There's also a Drogskull Infantry, which is good, don't get me wrong. But a little bit of interaction that we can play on the cheap sounds good to me. And then after that, what do we get? Heron of Hope. Another 4-drop flyer. Nurturing Presence. No. I think we're going to take a 6-drop. At least this fills a different part of our curve with Dreadlight Monstrosity. 6 mana, 5/5, Ward 2. Pay 5 to make it unblockable, but only if we have a card in exile. Which we can do. We've got the Disturb cards for it. Okay, now we get a Gutter Skulker, another Gutter Skulker. Cradle of Safety. Yeah, I think we'll take another Cradle of Safety. So this is a flash aura that when it enters the battlefield, the enchanted creature gets hexproof, and then the enchanted creature gets +1/+1. So you use it to save a creature from a removal spell, and then as a little extra bonus, it gets +1/+1 ongoing. So this kind of gets around the issue of auras being inherent 2-for-1s by giving you a card when you play it. Okay, next up. Heron Blessed Geist. Another Distracting Geist. I like this Distracting Geist. Again, cheaper spell wins. Do we want another Distracting Geist? Or do we want a Vampire Slayer? What is our 2-drops looking like? Still very few. I kind of like just the mono Distracting Geist plan. Sounds very annoying for our opponent. A Geist Light Snare. Or a Vampire Slayer. Again, we just don't have very many 2-drops, do we? That sounds like a pack 3 problem. Okay, but we do get a 2-drop anyway in Parish Blade Trainee. A 2-mana trainer. And then another Militia Rallier. Or a Traveling Minister. Maybe a Traveling Minister. A 1-drop. As well as a way to activate training. Alright. Last pack. A Circle of Confinement, which is just a good 2-mana removal. Panicked Bystander? No, thank you. Cigar's Imprisonment, actual removal spell. I think we're going to go with the cheaper and better removal spell in Circle of Confinement. Dream Shacklegeist. Now we're talking. A rare 3-mana 3/1 flyer. At the beginning of combat, choose one, tap a creature, or make it so a creature doesn't untap. That sounds fantastic. It's good for training, just a good card in general. Like a baby Dungeon Geist. Got 3 Distracting Geists and a Dream Shacklegeist. I mean, we are geisting all over the place. Okay, next up. We've got a Piercing Light. 1 mana, do 2 damage to a target attacking or blocking creature. It's not bad. Another Cruel Witness. 4 mana, 3/3 flyer. It's tough. I think we'll go with the Piercing Light. I mean, loath as I am to pass up on a Cruel Witness, we've got so many flyers. We're still very light on the low side of our curve. Okay, now what do we got? A Wonderlight Spirit. Another 3-mana flyer. Or a Bride's Gown? Is that what we want? It's an equipment. Yeah, you know what? With this many flyers and this much training, I think an equipment that's going to give us a little extra juice could be good. Skywarp Scob. 5 mana, 2/5 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, I can exile 2 creatures from my graveyard if I do draw a card. Sure. So now what do we want to start rounding out? Another Binding Geist? Another Cradle of Safety? Or a Fear of Death? I like these Geists. But I like Cradle of Safety too. Oof, it's tough, isn't it? We'll go with the Cradle of Safety. Cheap interaction. Alright, we're rounding out the draft here, and we're kind of running out of juice. Pick up another Militia Rallier. Probably not going to play. And now we have truly nothing left. A Piercing Light. Maybe. Wow, wield a Cruel Witness. Maybe. A Vampire Slayer will probably not play. And that is the end of the draft. Alright, on to deck building, which I will spare you. Okay, deck building is done. We have a 40-card deck. Blue-white. Training and flying. And spirits, oh my. So what are the highlights? Highlights are our Mythic Rare, Savior of Allenbach. A rare, also at the 3-drop spot, Dream Shacklegeist. And lots of 3-drops. Distracting Geists, so these are 2/1s when they attack, tap a creature, and also turn into auras that will do the same effect. So we're going to really be keeping our opponents tapped down in this deck. Binding Geists, 3/1s that are going to shrink our opponent's stuff. so that they can't block effectively and will help train our other cards. We've got a couple Cruel Witnesses, and a Skywarp Scob, and a Dreadlight Monstrosity at the top end, and some cheap interaction: Circle of Confinement, Piercing Light, Syncopate, Cradle of Safety, a couple Geist Light Snares. Yeah, so this is going to be our first foray. Wish me luck.
Does the thought of leading a group through the creative landscapes of your imagination terrify you? Do you worry about being asked questions you don't know the answers to? Have you wanted to try being a dungeon or game master, but your social anxiety has been holding you back? Hi, I'm Amber, and I used to nearly vomit at the idea of running a tabletop RPG. How'd I get over that anxiety? I haven't. Surprise! I'm still an anxious mess, and you can listen to all of it on Shapeshift, where I've recorded 80% of every game I've ever ran. Over the last 4 years, I've run a ton of indie one-shots like Casketland, a weird Western horror game, to my first ever campaign using Ryutama, a Studio Ghibli-like exploration-focused game. Follow me through my journey learning how to GM and to live with my anxiety. It doesn't go away completely, but it does get easier to manage. Go to geekspective.com to find out more information or find Shapeshift on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Game 1. Our dark work may begin. We go first. We have Syncopate on turn 2, Dream Shackle Geist on turn 3, and Cruel Witness on turn 4. Seems okay. Okay, we'll play an island and go. Opponent plays a swamp and go. We'll drop a plains and pass. Our opponent is red-black and they go for a Ragged Recluse. We'll go ahead and syncopate that. Boy, they really make the interface rough for Syncopate. Going just like we drew it up, play the Dream Shackle Geist on turn 3. Our opponent plays Blood Servitor, a 3-mana 2/2 that makes a blood token. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. We'll go to combat. Tap their Blood Servitor. Attack their Dream Shackle Geist. And then play a Cruel Witness. 3/3 flyer. Alright, we have quite the aerial superiority going right now. Opponent plays Dying to Serve, a rare enchantment. When you discard one or more cards, create a 2/2 zombie token tapped. So they went ahead and activated their blood token, discarded a card, and got a zombie. Whatever. We will go to combat, I believe. We will make it so that their zombie stays tapped. Hit them for 6 flying and play another Cruel Witness. So it's 22-11. Our opponent is in very bad shape. And they forfeit. Blue-white flyers. An archetype as old as time. Well, that went pretty perfectly, didn't it? Can't base all of our judgments based on that one game, obviously. But I have a theory that blood is bad. The blood archetype black-red is not good. We'll see. I mean, who knows? We could get destroyed by exactly that in this next game. Okay, we're going first. This is tough. We have our Dream Shackle Geist again. We have 2 lands in hand. They're both islands. We'll go first. We need to draw a land relatively soon, but if we draw plains on this turn, haha, we do. Then we can play our Parish Blade Trainee. 1/2 training. They play Vampire Slayer. 2-mana 2/2. We will put our Shackle Geist out. Tap their Vampire Slayer. And attack with our Parish Blade Trainee. 20-19. They play Unholy Efficient, 1/2 Vigilance. They attack with their Vampire Slayer. It's now 18 to 19. It's fine. Should we just go to attacks? Yeah, I think so. Let's make it so their Vampire Slayer doesn't untap. Attack with both our boys. The Perish Blade trainee trains. They Fierce Retribution to kill our Geist. Okay, they take 2. Now what do we want to do? We could play Binding Geist, which can shrink a creature when we attack with it, or Distracting Geist. I think Distracting Geist, they're basically the same thing, but Distracting Geist actually taps them. They play Griff Rider, 2/1 flying training, and attack us with their Vigilant Unholy Efficient. We will take it. Okay, so now like I said, we have options. I think what we're going to do here is... Do we want to arm the Cathars? It's a good finishing move. Let's go ahead and just go to combat here. Attack with... Do we offer a trait here for our Griff Rider? Yeah. So we're going to tap their Efficient. Now if they want... Okay, they don't block. That's good. So now we can play Binding Geist. Next turn could be interesting. Depends what they do. We could have a good Arm the Cathars turn. If they kill a creature, we could Skywarp Scob. If nothing else, we could play and equip our Bride's Gown. Like I said, options. We got them. They play Radiant Grace. An aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 vigilance. When the creature dies, they get Radiant Grace back, transformed into a curse. That's not very good. They're attacking us with everything. No thank you. No blocks for us. It's 11 to 13. They have 2 mana up, which is pretty annoying. So now what? When we attack, we're going to tap one of their creatures, and we're going to shrink one of their creatures. I think we're going to just attack with everything. So we train, we tap down their Unholy Efficient, and we give -2/-0 to their Griff Rider. They have another Fierce Retribution, so we get to put counters on something. Let's put our counters on our Distracting Geist. They did kill our creature, which means we can now play Skywarp Scab and draw a card. Okay. So they have blocked us. They took some damage, so it's now 11 to 10. We're going to play our Skywarp Scab. We are going to exile a couple cards so we can draw a card. Wow. Our opponent finally plays their next color. They are playing green, and they play a good card. Rural Recruit. 1/1 training that comes into play with a 3/1 bear. That's pretty good. It's now 8 to 10, so this is getting a little dicey for us. So what do we want to do here? We can play and equip Bride's Gown on our Scob to get in for 4 damage and next turn win with Arm the Cathars potentially. I think that's our best bet. Go to combat. Attack for 4 in the air. They're at 6. And then we can... Should have done this anyway, but we will Binding Geist. And we'll put that on our Distracting Geist, I think. Nice. That was a good misread of the card. So the way that the Disturb cards work in this set, they're different than last set. Last set, they were creatures, they died, you disturb them back into slightly different creatures. In this set, they're creatures that die, and you can disturb them back as auras that do something similar to what the creature does. So, a 1/1 flyer, for example, that becomes an aura that gives +1/+1 in flying. Well, this was a creature that when it attacks gives an opponent's creature -2/-0. And you might think, oh, it disturbs back as a very similar card. Not so. Well, our journey has come to an end here. They played their own Arm the Cathars, which will kill us. Damn. 1 turn away. Anyway, my point is, Distracting Geist works the way you think it will. It is an aura that gives a creature the ability that it had, whereas this other Geist turns into a aura that gives a creature the effect that it had. I don't know, a little confusing. No excuse for not reading the card. On to game 3. Okay, our opponent goes first. This might be a mulligan. We have only 2 lands and nothing below 3 mana. We've got 3, 4, 3, 3, and 5. And we have a fair amount of blue in our hand, including 2 double blue cards, so don't think we can keep that. This looks better. Similar problem, but at least now we have things we can play: a Piercing Light, a Bride's Gown, Distracting Geist. So keep this. And what do we want to ship? I kind of want to ditch this Bride's Gown. Yeah. Opponent goes Island Lantern Bearer. I'm so jealous. We will be Piercing Lighting that, I believe. We'll let it hit us for 1, maybe, just to see if our Piercing Light can get anything better. They play Storm Chaser Drake. When it becomes the target of a spell they control, they draw a card. Spooky. Let's hope they just go to attack us. Here's where we could really get destroyed, because what we have to do right now is Piercing Light their Drake. They could easily Cradle of Safety, in which case they'll counter our spell and draw a card. Whew, they didn't have it. Thank goodness. Okay, we're drawing an island on our turn, which we do need. So that has to stay on top. Okay. They still hit us for 1 with the Lantern Bearer. It's 18-20. They had no other plays. So there's a chance they have a counter spell? I mean, that's just tough. Like, we have to go for the Distracting Geist here. They have Thirst for Discovery, so they have a draw spell. Whew. Thought for sure we were getting countered there. Opponent plays Fear of Death on our Distracting Geist. So it's shrinking our Distracting Geist. That's not a very good play from them. I mean, sure, our guy doesn't do damage anymore, but, you know, he can still attack and block things. Or tap things, rather, excuse me. No attacks for us. We have a Cruel Witness in play. They have a Heron Blessed Geist. 5 mana 3/3 flyer. They can pay 4 and exile from their graveyard to make 2 1/1 flyers. Quite good, quite good. Alright, so what are we going to do now? I think we just go to combat. Attack with both our things. Tap their Heron Blessed Geist. And get them for 3. So now it's 17 all. And we will play a Militia Rallier. 3 mana, 3/3. Can't attack alone. When it attacks, untap target creature. Ooh, our opponent goes Dreadlight Monstrosity. The 5/5 Ward 2. Yowza. Well, now what do we want to do? The Dreadlight has Ward 2, which means that if we target it with something, we have to pay 2 or it gets countered. We could put Distracting Geist. I believe at this time I want to play Binding Geist. It's not very mana efficient though, because that's all we would be doing this turn. You know what? We're going to play the Distracting Geist as an aura on our Cruel Witness. Then we're going to attack with Cruel Witness. Tap their Heron Blessed Geist. Connect for 3. It's 16 to 14, but they are looking to hit us back for a lot of damage, potentially. Ooh. So they play a Skywarp Scob. This is just the mirror. And they hit us for a whopping 9 damage. Yikes. So at this time, we could attack them with both our creatures and arm the Cathars and hit them for a grand total of 11 damage. They're at 14. Fortunately, that's not going to be enough. So what do we want to do? I think what we want to do is play 2 Binding Geists. Now on their turn, they can hit us for how much total? I mean, they have 5 that we just can't block, period. Because they can activate their Dreadlight Monstrosity. And then they have a 3/3 flyer and a 2/5 flyer. And that means that we have to block one of the flyers. At which point we take how much damage? And block one other thing. So we can't attack with our Cruel Witness, unfortunately, or we will just die to flyers. So that means no attacks. I think we're pretty hosed here. I don't think there's much we can do. Wow. So they play the Estwald Shield Basher, and they play a rare Catilda Dawnheart Martyr. It's a 3/3 flying lifelink pro vampires. The power and toughness are equal to the number of permanents they control that are spirits and or enchantments. Whew. That is power. Okay, so our opponent is, as we expected, swinging at us for 5. Oh, okay. So they didn't activate the Dreadlight Monstrosity. Obviously, they played a couple spells. So we can just block that with one of our Binding Geists. Okay. We go down to 4. Now, I don't believe... Yeah, there's no way. We do not have enough to win here. We could arm the Cathars, sure. But they have available to them 4 blockers now. And yeah, we don't have the juice. This game's over. That's 2 losses, baby. 1 more, we are out of here. Okay, opponent is going first. What do we have? We have a Circle of Confinement, Distracting Geist, a Binding Geist, and a Bride's Gown. Seems fine. Opponent goes red. Love it. We love it. And they go black. Alright. They do play a good 2-drop. I don't know if you can hear my stomach is going nuts right now. They play Blood Tithe Harvester. 3/2 makes a blood token when it comes into play, and you can sacrifice it to shrink a creature based on your blood tokens. They will not get to do that, though, because we are going to confine that little bitch. Excuse my harsh language. Doesn't really work in ASMR, does it? Calling people bitches. Okay, our opponent Vampires kissed us. We lose 2 life, they gain 2 life, and they get 2 blood tokens. So our opponent is going nuts making blood tokens. Whatever. Blood tokens let you discard a card to draw a card, which they're activating one right now. Discarding Falkenrath Celebrants. They must be looking for lands, I guess. I don't know. Whatever, man. Go nuts. I think we're going to start just dropping Distracting Geists. Because they don't have any creatures, so if they play a creature this turn, we are going to distract it and play another one. They do. They play Weary Prisoner, a werewolf. Whatever. Let's go ahead and attack. Taps their creature. We just play... We drew a Griffwing Cavalry. Yeah. I kind of like that. It uses up our mana better. And then next turn, depending what happens, we can Bride's Gown our Distracting Geist, tap their thing, and train our Griffwing Cavalry. They play Blood Crazed Socialite. 3/3 Menace. They get a blood token. When it attacks, they can sack a blood token to give it +2/+2. Okay. Now what do we want to do? I think what we want to do is... Got 5 mana available. Could play and equip the Bride's Gown to the Geist, tap their Weary Prisoner, and that would train our Cavalry? I don't know. I think we just maybe hit him for 2 in the air with our Cavalry. Then we play another Distracting Geist. And then we play but don't equip our Bride's Gown. So next turn we'll be looking to attack, tap 2 things, train our Cavalry. They attack us with their Socialite. They give it +2/+2. No blocks for us. It's 13-18. I can see them this turn just passing so that their Weary Prisoner transforms, but they don't. They play Rot-Tide Gargantua, a 5/4, but they choose not to exploit with it, which makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely getting sketchy. They just have, their creatures are so much bigger than ours. I mean, if we attack with all of our things, we can tap their stuff and get through for 6 damage, but then they're just gonna murder us on our turn. I guess we just hit for 2 with our flyer. We play a Binding Geist, and we equip our Binding Geist. Sure. At least now we have a good blocker. A 5/1 Binding Geist. Can actually stop their big creatures. But they're just going to keep menacing us with their Blood Crazed Socialite. They're attacking with Rot-Tide Gargantua too? Well, we'll block the Rot-Tide. And I think we're going to double block? No. Yeah. We'll just block the Rot Tide. It's now 8-16. They play Pyre Spawn. So they're just on like mono big creatures. This is a 6/4 when it dies. It does 3 damage to any target. And we're continuing to draw very badly. Another land. So we can equip a Distracting Geist, I guess. And we can Binding Geist a Blood Crazed Socialite. Let's hit for 2. Yuck. 8-14. Yeah, our opponent has been beating us down, but not really with blood, just literally just playing creatures that are chunky. They're attacking us with a Pyre Spawn and the Blood Crazed Socialite. Nasty. We can block and kill the Pyre Spawn, which will do 3 damage to us, no doubt. And we can double block the Blood Crazed Socialite and take 6. I mean, both these are really bad. I guess we're going to block and kill the Pyre Spawn, which will... Oh, they don't want to do 3 damage to us. They just killed our cavalry. We drew another land. So are we dead? I guess we're not just dead. We can enchant our Distracting Geist with a Clever Distraction. And we can put Bride's Gown on it. No attacks. So what will this let us do? It'll let us block a werewolf. And if they have no blood tokens that they can play, we live 1 more turn. Yep, they can make 1 though, so we're dead. GG. An interesting first foray into Crimson Vow. I'd say overall, it was interesting. We played white, and we faced mostly opponents playing white. We also faced 2 black-red blood decks. The first one we rolled over very easily, and the second one beat us again, but not by playing blood, just by playing big creatures, which is the downfall of blue-white flyers, is oftentimes you can just be outrated by other creatures. Still, fun first foray. I hope you join me next time as we continue to explore the format. Good day to you.